Do you find you get sidelined from doing actually what you believe is essential for a meaningful and joy-filled retired life? Hi, I'm Gil Jervis. Welcome to Life After 65. In today's episode, I'm going to discuss 7 common obstacles that can interrupt our focus on doing what is essential for our fulfillment. And how can we overcome those obstacles? In his book, Essentialism, Greg McKeown discusses obstacles that can get in our way of doing the essential. However, he mainly shares examples that apply to people still in the workforce. I've taken some of his questions and have tried applying them to our retired lifestyle. So here are 7 questions that will help you become aware of those obstacles that could sabotage your desire to do what's essential and overcome them. So number 1, how often do you automatically say yes when someone invites you to join them or ask for your help on a project? I mean, a friend might call needing a ride to the airport. Suddenly, that morning, I need to get to the airport. Or a friend might say, oh, I need an extra player for a round of golf. Can you add one more day to your golfing? Well, all of these are worthwhile activities. They can pull you away from doing what truly matters to you. As we work to distinguish between essential and non-essential activities in our retired lives, it's important to notice how often we say yes just by default. Sometimes we fear that, if I don't say yes to that invitation, I'm not going to be asked again, or I'll just be forgotten. Other times we worry about sounding selfish if we say, I'm so sorry, I can't help you. I just wish I'd known the day before that I had to take you to the airport. But when you are clear about what's truly essential in your life, you gain the confidence to say yes when it aligns with your priorities, your time schedule, and you can say no when it doesn't. You can even say it later when the timing isn't right. And number 2, we can get distracted by things that are good, but not necessarily essential for us to do. For example, you might say, today I'm going to start writing my life story. And then you open your kitchen drawer and think, they really need to be organized. I'm going to tackle that first, and then I'll start writing. And guess what happens? Your writing never gets started. Or perhaps, I'm just so resolved to spend more time with my partner. I seem to be out doing other activities without that person. And then before you know it, you're saying yes to activities that actually don't include your partner. Maybe you've been meaning to practice the piano more, but then you think, that's kind of frivolous, isn't it? When I have so many projects to do around the house, I have errands to do, I have some household tasks. I'll do it later when I have free time. It's important to recognize when you've shifted your focus away from what truly matters. Often distractions are worthwhile activities in themselves, but they may not be the best use of your time in light of your priorities. Pay attention to these moments so you can stay on track with what's essential to you. And number 3, one major obstacle to focusing on what is essential is actually decision fatigue. Psychologists explain that the more decisions we are forced to make, the more the quality of our choices declines. So when you reflect on what is truly essential in your life, you actually may just be finding yourself overwhelmed by all these conflicting thoughts. Should I supplement my finances with a part-time job? I've always thought about starting a small business. Should I start that small business that I've always dreamed about? Maybe I should spend more time working with one of my favorite charities. But if I do that, will I be able to stay as actively involved in my grandkids' lives? But on the other hand, I really want to do more traveling. How can I do my traveling? When you're faced with so many options, it's easy to shut down. It's easy just to get paralyzed. I'll make no decision at all. You just let things happen. Let each day as it comes. The key is to identify the choice that excites you most and aligns with your deepest sense of purpose. And then you focus your energy there. It doesn't mean that none of those other things or other activities can happen. You're just focusing your energy on the main one. And then you can juggle along your time to see where those other activities can be. But it does mean that you are still working on your number 1 essential focus. Number 4, another obstacle to focusing on what is essential in our lives is the challenge of opinion and information overload. I mean, when you're planning your new retired lifestyle, you might encounter an overload of information and advice about finances, travel, volunteering. You're going to get information from books, websites, even well-meaning friends. And you know what you end up feeling? Confused. You suddenly break down like, I can't even seem to make a decision. There's so many pros and cons for each thing I'm thinking about. What's the best way for me to spend my time and resources? Okay, so recognizing the impact of information overload is actually the first step, because what you need to do is cut through the noise. Focus on what truly matters to you. You might eliminate some of your information sources and decide what information you will rely upon. Number 5, another obstacle to focusing on what's essential is the belief that if we just manage our time better, we can do it all. After all, we're retired. We think we can juggle everything: volunteer work, social events, hobbies, family obligations, time with my partner, and then you end up feeling a little exhausted and perhaps not quite as fulfilled as you thought you would. The root of the problem is that we often believe everything is important, and to break free from that, we need to evaluate our choices and ask ourselves, what truly matters to me? Prioritize. Developing a new mindset means accepting that trade-offs are inevitable. Instead of asking, how can I do it all? I just maybe get up a little earlier in the morning, go to bed a little later at night. We must ask instead, which things are most important to me? Because by focusing on what matters most, we can let go of all that confusion, so that you can experience fulfillment. Number 6, another obstacle. Well, when we focus on what is essential, we may start feeling like, we actually don't have any time for play. I mean, I'm going to have to give up my pickleball. I'm not going to have to give up my tennis. I have to give up so many things because I have to focus on what is essential. And then guess what happens? You begin to resent what you believe is essential in your life, since you actually thought, I actually thought I was going to retire to have more time for play. So in Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism, he actually argues that play is not just beneficial, it is essential. The founder of the National Institute for Play has found that play can significantly improve personal health, relationships, education, and even an organization's ability to innovate. As he explains, play leads to brain plasticity, adaptability, and creativity. In other words, when we work to eliminate the non-essential, we don't have to give up activities that bring us joy, even if they don't feel productive. Play is not a waste of time. It's actually a vital part of our fulfilling life. However, it's always a however, play can only sabotage your essential goals when you begin participating in so much play that those activities are preventing you from doing the other activities that you believe will add to your fulfillment. It's that word balance again. Number 7, a final obstacle to focusing on what we believe is essential in our retirement years. It can actually be our fear that, life is going to lose its spontaneity, isn't it? I mean, will my life become too predictable and a little boring? Well, Greg McKeown in his book, Essentialism, has an answer to that fear. He suggests that if you are afraid that life just suddenly got too structured and therefore too boring, then you might want to look again at what you think are the essentials. He believes that focusing on the essential should be giving us more joy and more purpose. Now, if your obstacle is that you don't really know what is essential in your life, then click on the link showing up on your screen. It's an episode that I did earlier than this one that will help you to identify what is essential in your retirement. And if you do know what's essential for a happy and retired life, then ask yourself, are any of these obstacles that I have mentioned going to get in my way? Are they going to sabotage my activities? And then ask yourself, how can I overcome it? Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please click on the subscribe button and notify button so that you will continue getting content that will help us to redefine aging. Until then, we'll see you next time.